Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Spice Talk Show. Here's your girl, baby. I'm here again. And yes, I'm with an amazing guest. Yeah, his name is Marvin, a US Army, an author, right? And he's got a lot of prints out there that he sells and very, very, very lucrative, like you said. So as you watch, please, please, I'm going to display some of them, right? So please ensure you patronize him. Check his website, get his print and also his books, right? So and he's here to share some lights on the special topic, which is got to do with the pastors and it's do pastors have specific calling or specialization? So please, 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 but just be ready to learn. He's here with lots of wisdom, lot of knowledge to share about the word of God. And yes, and please try to check his website, which I'll put in the description. Please try to check his website and buy something from him. Right. So, Marvin, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
Oh, great, great. It's nice to really have you here, and thanks for really yeah, being part of this. So the first question I'm going to ask you is, who is a pastor?
Who is a pastor?
Yeah.
Um, well, growing up, we always assume the pastor is the head of the church, the actual physical church, the building, the infrastructure that goes into it, and they're usually the leader of the body, the physical body of the people who come in and out of church. So I think if I had to make it equivalent to civilian or anything corporate, they're like the CEO of the church in a sense.
Mhm.
Um, and so they have in my opinion, I think they have a lot of leadership mechanics that they got to work through. They do more than just to deliver the word and preach on Sundays and like how some people portray them as. I think it's a lot of preparation. I think they have a lot of educational systems in. I think they have to pour into their staff, and they have these huge organizations that help manage the church. But to you, from your perspective, you're just like, hey, I see him on Sunday, he preaching. I don't know what else he does, or I don't know what else she does. And I think people lose sight of they go to visit other sick members. They always on call. They travel because they're somebody else's guest around the world to deliver the word of God. I think, and I think people do a poor job of trying to size them and put them in a box where they can process, understand. And I know some of the stuff firsthand because I have friends and everything that are pastors, and most of them they just want a break from people, like any of us do.
I
And they
don't think
all
it's possible at all because they're kind of like managing people, really.
right, and
Trying
it won't.
to change.
And, and one of the things they be like, man, I just want a break from church people because
that.
they put them on this unbelievable pedestal, like they're not human and they don't get tired or they don't get exhausted or frustrated or they don't whatever. But I think the dynamics of a pass is pretty interesting. So I know I gave a really super long response, but that's what they are. And most good pastors I know, like any organization, they build infrastructure around them. They build people. They build. So they have them. Then they have ministerial staffs, a staff of ministers, and then some of them you take the title of the pastor is the senior pastor, and then they have different pastors, which probably be equivalent managers in these different departments, like pastor of the youth ministry,
Yeah.
pastor of the so and so, and then it cascades down from there.
Hmm.
So if pastor leaves, if you build a good pumping well machine, when pastor leaves and go and takes time off, the church is still getting fed. He rotates through his ministerial staff, or they have a game plan in so they can so they can leapfrog over each other, so the word of God is not missed in the sanctuary. And I think that's very, very important and prevalent to understand, because people come for the word, not necessarily the person who delivers it. They should.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really yeah, they've got lots of job really. Um, and yeah, that's why, we have, just like Christ said, that is, um, as in we have different parts, right, of different parts of the body that makes it a body. So that means different hands, different the
Mhm.
department, different areas in the church kind of makes it one, so that to kind of yeah bring the word of God alive, because it's not
Yeah.
really dependent on one person, but like they have the head. And one thing is that people see them like, I think maybe the notion people have about them being like the all that they don't get tired, nothing happens. It's just because they believe that, well, not that they believe, they know that they hear from God, right? So they believe that since God is supreme, so God has given them all the energy that they need.
Right. Like
They don't
they're not.
lack anything. They have all the energy, all the wisdom for every single thing, right?
They're like, yeah, like they're not human, and they don't have
Mhm.
the everyday trials and tribulation that we go through.
Yeah,
They have marital issues. They have children issues. They they fuck. Some cuss, and they just be. It's just this nuance of like, oh, they. I think, they'll be like, "Well, I saw the pastor at so and so. He ain't supposed to be doing that." I'm like, "What are you talking about? It was just a concert. What?" He he liked the artist. He talks about him.
yeah,
It doesn't mean anything.
yeah.
He didn't come out the womb listening to gospel music.
Is that is
So
the supreme being?
yeah, right. It is crazy because people do that because that's what they can relate to, instead of understanding the delivery of the word and the mechanism that God uses for the body of the person who's preaching
Yeah,
to execute that. And so I think it's just the biggest fallacy ever. And I think more and more that nowadays is being uncovered. I'm not saying they shouldn't walk in a certain light, but we all should. And
yeah,
but we should do that all just as Christians, period, or whatever our faith is,
mhm,
period.
mhm,
And like, somebody should look at me and be like, "Oh yeah, well, he got good morals." Well, he got good morals because he's a Christian, and he actually exercises those, or of just overall being a good person.
mhm.
It's they kind of nest with each other. And so I just feel like I feel I really have a soft spot for the pastors out there, because I understand what they go through, and they know I'm not one of those church members. So I'm one of them church members that, if anything, I'd be like, "Pass, you good? Man, you can come on over and hang out with me.
Well,
You ain't got to wear the past mantle around me. We good.
yeah, cool. That's
We good." Because it's like the whole thing. They spend a lot of time pouring into people,
yeah,
but nobody pours into them. They
yeah,
need to be get poured into as well.
true, true, true. So would you like say like you can approach the pastors about everything? Do you think that these pastors are specialized in everything, your family, about your school, about like business ideas or like finances or something? Can you when, for example, when people are kind of like trying to start up a business, and apart from them praying for you, would you like, pastor, give me business ideas, or this is kind of like the business ideas I've got. Can you kind of be part of it or something like that? Or aside from business, even like school, general things really. Can you just are pastors meant to like have all the knowledge for of everything in life?
So I think you can. I think again, like I mentioned earlier, the equivalent to CEO of companies. Running a church is a business. When you get to the mechanics of it and have a really good system in place, when you got resources and you got infrastructure you got to worry about. Hey, guess what? That physical building of a church, it has bills. It has light bill, electric bill, water bill, gas bill. You want to keep it clean. That's housekeeping services. You want to keep it, you want to keep it maintained. So you got maintenance you have to do. You got to redo the paint every once in a while. It needs remodeling every once in a while to keep the church, the physical church
Hmm.
that God blessed you with. I mean, and that you want to get it paid off, and a lot of them are. So I think pastors are being more equipped in these areas, and a lot of them are smart.
Hmm.
Most pastors now, they have multiple degrees now. They've been in the civilian world. They've been in whatever. So
Hmm.
they they are equipped to give business ideas. They know how to put smart people around them so they can make better business decisions and be able to hear their people well. They have in their staffs, they have trustees, they have deacons of different types to pour into them, say, hey, this is what the congregation wants to see more of. This is what captures your audience. This because his flock is pretty much like I'm an artist, so my the flock will be the niche. These are
Yeah,
your people. These are your fans. These
yeah.
are the people you poured into, and
Hmm.
they tell you that for them to get better fed and to receive you better, because it's reciprocity. Communication always goes two ways.
Hmm.
This is what we have a more enjoyable. This is what we need from you to have a more enjoyable or comfortable delivery of the word, weekly, bi-weekly, whatever.
Hmm.
This is why a lot of them do two services, because they understand people work on Sunday, and
Yeah.
some people prefer to go early in the morning than
Hmm.
one service until it becomes strenuous. And this is why they have multiple locations, because they're trying to grow, but they need a staff and everything to go back and forth between building the church out and growing, because the church is not limited. Even though we talk about the physical church, but the ministry shouldn't be limited to just one location if you're blessed enough to do multiple locations.
Yeah.
Um, so I think, in far as sharing with them, I think you absolutely can share pretty much everything. It's a joke. They said a couple people you want to be honest with: your pastor, your doctor, and your attorney on everything.
Oh, bless. Oh, bless.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
So, but this is, the explanation you've given, right? It's focused on like established pastors. What about pastors that are just starting up, and maybe their
Just
congregations are just like not as much? So, will they have all those infrastructure and the knowledge and everything, or will they be needing those skills or from people because they're not established yet?
you know, it's the same approach to a startup entrepreneur. They have the desire and everything there to want to know and do everything. That doesn't mean they're less educated. It's just what it is. They just haven't started. They just started out.
Yeah.
Um, I think the most important thing, like with anybody who starts with anything, is having the knowledge and research and surrounding yourself with good people and having those connections and letting them pour into you as well to help articulate those. And a lot of them, I believe, they have mentors. They have mentors that are like, what do I need to do?
Hmm.
Whether those mentors don't necessarily have to be other pastors, but most of them are,
Hmm.
because you want to mentor from somebody that you're trying to not be like, but get to where they're at. And they're
Yeah.
telling you, hey, you need to go to these. And most of them are pastors.
Yeah.
So guidance is important when you start out, right? I mean, you're gonna do your thing, a man, all over the place,
Yeah.
but eventually finding your rhythm and getting that guidance is going to be important. So I think you can still have the same thing if you, I think they can still answer and get the same knowledge and have the same knowledge as an established pastor. I don't think that's limited just because they're starting out.
Yeah.
I think it's just the difference is one is established and one is starting out. I think the knowledge and everything is there, but I think starting out under the umbrella of starting out, the mechanics of how to handle and do things might be new to them. But dealing with people and everything, I think that stuff is kind of hit or miss there because they're not as established. But I think that really doesn't affect. Hey, pastor, can I talk to you about this?
Yeah.
Hey, do you know this and that? Do you have knowledge in this and that? They probably would, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah. But okay, yeah, that's that's like awesome. But like, so what would you say to someone or anybody that's kind of like approached a pastor and doesn't hasn't found a solution, or like the person just feels that the solution has not been, I mean, you've not as they've not achieved it. What am I putting? How am I putting the word? They've not gotten the solution from the person. So what advice would you give the person?
If somebody went to, so let me make sure I understand the question. So if somebody went to the pastor
Yeah,
and they
looking for a
didn't get,
solution and they get a solution.
they looking for a solution, they didn't get a solution from the pastor.
Yeah.
I would challenge that person. So it's a difference between, in my opinion, you not getting a solution or you got a solution, but you just didn't like the solution.
Okay.
Some of us be like that. You know,
Yeah.
just being married and hearing stuff from my wife, I get like, I'm like, oh my God, is that the answer?
Yeah.
Yes, I just didn't like it. But if they didn't get the solution from the pastor, I would tell them to go spend some time by yourself,
Yeah.
pray, and figure out if you need to restate it another way and go back to the pastor and discuss with the pastor. I didn't really get a solution from you on that. And if the pastor said I can't answer that or whatever, he or she should be able to give you some advice on who and what to do. Even if it's just simply consecrating on God in your downtime, and only God can answer that for you.
Yeah.
Type deal. I don't think it's just a. I don't think it's just just a nah, I don't know the answer to that type deal.
Mhm.
It might be I don't know the answer. Let me get back to you. Or right, I don't know the answer. And when people don't understand, just because somebody don't know the answer to your question, that
Yeah.
doesn't make them unqualified or ignorant. They just don't know the answer to your question because some of your questions they don't know everything.
Yeah.
But most of us smart human beings who've been here more than a day
Yeah.
know how to do research, and we have these beautiful devices that we carry, little baby computers. We call them cell phone now, smartphones. We can
Yeah.
research it, we can pontificate about it and pray on it, on how we're going to deliver the message back to the
Hmm.
person,
Hmm.
whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. And everything is not good and bad in those two bins. Some of it is just like, hey, this is the answer.
Hmm.
Once you go meditate on it for a little bit, and then you go forth and do great things. I'm just saying, and sometimes it's just be like that.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, again, it's just like, sometimes what you said, it's correct. Like, well, it's not about right or wrong, really, but like it just like we said, there are people at different level in life, and different things happen, yeah, spiritually, different level, so they'll see things differently. So it's just about like having a set standard, a set
Hmm.
principle to follow, and then um either it goes up or down, then yeah,
It
it's just up to yourself, God, and yeah, whoever leader it is. I'm just saying that if there's no set standard, the set standard is that you should approach your pastor, talk to your pastor about what it is, right? So, but if there's no like, even if there is solution, or there's over solution or solution that you don't like, I think it's just about having a standard, right? And
Mhm.
then things whether things go up and down, it's still okay. Just have a standard, follow it, do your own bit. Just like the Bible said, we should, when it said train your child in the way you should go, so that when it grows up, it will not depart from it. That's
Right,
like the 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 instruction. So
right.
as a parent, you train your child. As a leader, you lead, right? So that is like kind of like the
Mhm.
instruction. That is what the Bible has said. That is a standard. So
Mhm.
as a follower, you follow, right? So it's about having a standard and following the standard, and yeah, see how it goes. That's what I think.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, and I concur with you. And it's just having those, being equipped like that. Just about having those. It's just about having those, being equipped in those, in the mechanisms and that type of stuff. So
Yeah.
upstairs. So yeah, and yeah, it's not a. Most of the time, people who asking the question, they come with a preconceived answer anyway.
Yeah.
They looking for agreement
Yeah.
in most situations, because I think in their mind preconceived people have preconceived questions in their mind carved up for their past, because like we said earlier, they're superhuman beings and everything.
Yeah.
Everything is not a deep response.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, my wife's mad at me past because I didn't hang out with her on this day or this day, and because I ain't watch a show with her. I said, if I was past, my answer as a married man. I don't even have to answer this as a pastor. I just answer this as a married man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, she just want to spend time with you. You probably should watch TV with her.
Mm-hmm.
Time is the most valuable asset we have, because we can't get it back.
Yeah.
And if you spending that with her, she understands that she's valuable
Mm-hmm.
because you're giving time to her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's like, then I'll probably be like, hey, I'm doing a series on marriage, so it will behoove you to be there, because you're
Yeah.
missing simple signs like that.
Yeah. True.
You see, that's not even deep. Probably wouldn't like the way I delivered it, because I wasn't like, oh, Father God, you let me pour some oil on you and tell you I will get back with you on this. No, you just need to spend time with your wife, man.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true. That's true. That's true. No, that's true. So anyway, so the next question, like, do you believe all pastors have a general calling, or do some have a more specialized role within the ministry?
um, I believe pastors have a special calling, most of them, in my opinion. But I do think there are pastors out there who just woke up and decided to be one. Now, there's a difference, and the Bible says a tree by the fruit it bears. And so you'll see, if you see one ministry thriving with believers and they are changing the game and everything, they probably led by a pastor who's been called.
Mhm.
If you see some that you're kind of like, what's going on?
Mhm.
And it's more than just startup, by the way. It's
Mhm.
like they've been there, and it's like they probably ain't been called. I mean, that's just, people hate to be like that. They just ain't. This might not be your cup of tea. You probably thought you heard a voice to do this, because it's tough. And
Yeah.
and I think looking at the fruit, which if you're a pastor, the fruit will be your people, your organization, your ministries, even your infrastructure and the growth and everything, and spreading the word and what type of stuff that you're involved in. I think that tells us on. It's just like, if I had to relate that to corporate America. And by the way, and I'm not talking about startup. I'm talking about, you've been in the community, you've been here for about 15, 20 plus years.
Yeah.
That's a tall sign to me.
Hmm.
Maybe you're not, and here's the thing, just because you okay, let me go back. All ministers are not meant to be pastors.
Hmm.
All ministers are not meant to preach in front of large congregations.
Mhm.
Sometimes, and then everybody who's called ain't meant to be a minister. Sometimes God just calling you to live right.
Mhm.
People wake up like, oh, God called me to blah blah blah. Yeah, God's probably called you to go to church. Go to Sunday school, go to church, go to Bible study, or cause you to just pick the word up a little bit once or twice a week,
Yeah.
and yeah, stop being mean to people. You don't have to stick your middle finger up every time somebody cuts you off in the road in route somewhere, because you're late. God probably called you to say, hey, turn your clock to the left a little bit and get up a little bit early and bring your stress down. you know, it's kind of right up there when you see these old people and they still mean, and you be like, my goodness, God really liked them.
Yeah.
That's why they still here. No,
Yeah.
they probably still there because God's giving them that many chances.
Yeah. Yeah.
The good people God take early. You like, man, they died at 45. Hey, God said, come on, I got you. So that's kind of a joke, but
Yeah.
but my thing is, it's just one of those. Everybody believes it. A lot of people, some people believe like I've been called to ministry. And you be like, nah, they probably just called you at the club, the
Mhm.
strip club, and everything else. Those days are over.
Yeah.
Let's you're in a different phase of your life now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But a lot of people think they get called, and they go right up to the pulpit, and I'm like, nah, no, not necessarily so.
Well, true, true, true. But in terms of like uh, specialty or like being called generally, I still I still believe that there's some uh prosper there's some is it prosperity preachers that they call, yeah, there's some preachers whereby they're kind of like feel words of wisdom. I mean, when less like
Mhm.
motivator speakers, but in the word, doing it in the word of in God's way. Why some are kind of like stand by you kind of pastor. I'm sorry. Why some are kind of like maybe like immigrants pastors, and why some are kind of like multinational pastors,
Yeah, yeah, uh-huh.
multiracial pastors. I'm just like when I say that maybe it's just because maybe because of the settings or because of the principle that governs the church or maybe the culture
Right.
in the church.
Mhm.
However, I don't know how that affects their calling. I have, but when it comes to prosperity preachers, they are, as in that's what there's no negative speaking. Although as a Christians, we're not meant to speak negatively. If you know what I'm saying, but why?
Mhm.
That's how I say because I know I've visited some churches and the you know the way it's just the way things are being done. They seem to be a bit different. However, the word of God is still like the fundamental. However, but the culture or the doctrine is a bit different.
Mm.
So
Yeah,
that's
I
why like
mean,
I'm kind of like saying, are they? Does that mean that when they are called, they are specialized? And say that my calling is to deal with immigrants, or my calling is to deal with the nationals, or my calling is to be prosperity preachers, prosperity preacher, or my calling is to be an encourager. I don't want to call names because I can call names. I kind of tell you like when I listen to the
so
time one, I get different things. And
oh, I think what you're, in my opinion, I think what you're talking about are the mechanics
yeah,
of of being being a pastor.
yeah,
You know, so international, national, people are people. You have to know how to reach your people. You
yeah,
can deliver the word all day and let it fall on deaf ears if you don't work on how you deliver things. And these are things they teach you in theology, in schools.
yeah,
I mean, this is public speaking 101. You want to run a company, you got to know how to talk to people.
yeah,
You mean well, but it's just like everybody got that family member.
mm,
He or she is the auntie, the oldest person in the family, and they mean well, but you don't want to interact with them because they don't know how to talk to folks.
yeah,
And I think any leader in the church, period, outside of the pastor,
yeah,
This is one of the things they have to understand. They have to know how to deal with people. And I think, and I know for a fact, some pastors I know when they find out about it, or anybody in the mirror stereo staff, they sit them down
Mm.
because you messing with their flock. You can't be on the usher board and don't know how to talk to people and
Yeah.
don't know how to smile
Mm-hmm.
and say, open the door and say, good morning, welcome to so and so church,
Mm.
home of whatever, they have their motto, and then come on in and escort them in.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want you being the face of my church, and you can't even show teeth and smile and greet people in the
Oh,
morning.
I could.
You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
you good on numbers. You good on numbers. So I'll see you in the back after Sundays,
Yeah.
and I'll come see you when I want to look at what the church balances are and bills. You get what I'm
Yeah.
saying? You just
But
gotta know how to maneuver people.
yeah, that's, I think, like you said, it's about the managing people properly. So for example, if the um face of the church has to be smiling, somebody that frowns all the time, you can put them there.
It's crazy. And so you got ministers in your church that'll be like, yeah, pass, I got it. Yeah, man, I ain't gonna put you in front of church because you still rocking jeans with holes in it. But you can do the informal part of the outreach ministry. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We
But
still gotta clean we still
what
gotta
if
clean
the
your
person that
English up a
frowns
little bit.
can reach out to the people, the congregation that frowns?
Right. Yeah. Right. I'm not gonna put you up here. I'm not gonna put you in the pulpit for revival because your English ain't good yet. You
Yeah.
you just got called into the ministry.
Yeah.
You get some scriptures. So the
Yeah.
mechanics, because here's the thing: you're called, but you still have to be educated in your craft.
Yeah.
I'm talented. I'm talented in probably taking abstract photos, but
Yeah.
I still have to sharpen my tools.
Yeah.
You're called into, you know, doing podcasts, interviews and everything, but you still have to sharpen your skills. That's
Yeah.
why we all should be, students of life learning,
Yeah.
because we still got to keep it, because number one, you're blessed with it,
Mm.
but you have to maintain it
Mm.
and become even better with it than you were yesterday. So you still got to sharpen your skills. You
Yeah.
still, that's why they do sermons. That's why they still getting educated. That's why they still go travel abroad. Still the greatest tool. Going back to, I think that's what people don't understand about craft. So Stone Michaels, which is myself, which is my pseudonym.
Yeah.
Stone Michaels still has to sharpen his skills with writing. I still have to sharpen my skills with taking photos, but then I still have to sharpen my skills with being an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And so with all three of those big, huge bins, they're they're actually not designed to be filled.
Mm.
It's just a growth process. And those are the three huge paths that I go down when I start doing that. And some of it show, and a lot of those skills, you know, comes back to me just as a person. Like most men can appreciate, learn how to effectively talk to your wife about things, because men and women communicate differently. Now, if you would ask me this 20 plus years ago when I was a young Thundercat, I'd be like, oh no, she got what I'm saying. Did she? Is your tone okay?
Yeah.
Um, one of my and I'm going down a little bit of a rabbit hole, but one of my favorite songs is by Money Long. It's called "Make Me Forget," and one of the phrases she said in the song is "Treat me as a queen, gently put me in my place."
Ah,
And that's real, because
yes, it is.
despite exercising good EQ,
Yeah.
you still always it reminds me to always be gentle with my wife, no matter how headstrong she might comes off towards you. You got to understand how you look to her.
Yeah.
You know, so and most of the time you're probably going to be looked at as a man, as type of strength and everything. So you want to be careful, gently putting her in her place, and I don't mean like checking her or nothing, but how you carry yourself and how you talk to her. Because
Yeah.
once you go past being gentle, they ain't listening to you no more.
Well,
This is what I'm trying to effectively convey to you about what I'm trying to do and how I feel.
yeah, I get. Thanks for that. Yeah. So with regards to let me open the Bible again. You know when I opened it just now. Yeah, so it's Ephesians 4 when he mentioned about the gifts of the Spirit, right? And he
Mhm.
mentioned about the apostle, prophets, evangelists, right? And he mentioned that some are like pastors. And looking at the Amplified, it says, so the apostles are special messengers, and it says the prophets, inspired preachers, and expounders, and evangelists, the preachers of the gospel, and then traveling missionaries. As pastors, it says they are shepherds of its flock,
Mhm.
right? So I'm just like saying, I just wanted to ask, with regards to this, how do they like? Does this define a pastor's calling, or is a pastor just a pastor? Well, it's clear there, but I just want to see is a pastor just a pastor, or like do they have all this the apostle skills and then the preacher skills, evangelist skills, and all that?
No, I think okay, so I think I think pastor's like the next level in a sense. Some of this stuff is basic skills of a minister.
Yes.
And I think to be called to be a pastor, what makes now the question is, well, what makes a pastor different from a regular minister is because of the leadership capability that's put on their heart to do so. Because
Mm,
again, not all ministers are meant to be pastors,
mm,
but all pastors should be ministers.
yeah.
And so some of those fundamental things they should already know how to do, or they wouldn't be moving trying to be a pastor.
Mhm.
Because I think if they move forward and try to become a pastor, a lot of that stuff will become exposed really quick because pastors deal, number one, with a lot of people, a lot of different personalities. They have to have their calling has to be hyphened and more sharpened, in my opinion. Um, I don't think no minister wakes up and be like, hey, well, look, hold up. Let me take it one step back. I don't think nobody wake up and be who's not even a minister and says, "Oh yeah, God called me to be a pastor." Wait a minute. God called you to be straight a pastor, not a. Okay, if He called you to be the pastor, you know you got to be a minister first. You got to get underneath somebody because here's the thing: you cannot be a great leader if you were never a great follower. You cannot be a leader unless you understand what being a follower is.
Mhm.
But not all followers are meant to be leaders.
Mhm.
It's just one of those things. And so, as for somebody who's been in the military for 26 years, and I have the rank of lieutenant colonel, and I used to be a private, the lowest ranking in the army, and I've seen, and I went through the ranks and flipped my coin and flipped it to the other side of the house. You cannot really understand leadership unless you've been in servitude, because you can't know what your people want if you were not part the of them.
Yeah.
You cannot embrace poor people in a sense if you've never really been poor.
Hmm.
I mean, this is the problem with our American government now. I am trying to get political. We got Department of Government Efficiency running by a multi-billionaire talking about how we just wasting stuff in excess when his whole lifestyle has been in excess. He's a billionaire. He hasn't lived a typical American struggling middle class family his whole probably since he was a child.
Hmm.
And then when he was a child, he was in South Africa.
Hmm.
So when you hear questions like you don't even know the average cost of one loaf of bread, that's a problem. How can you relate and connect? Not saying that that's the prerequisite, but it definitely helps. Nor are you trying to understand. If you haven't done it, maybe you should go connect with those people. You trying to trim the fat, but you haven't been in the hood, you haven't been in the lower income homes and see what their daily needs are. You haven't sat down with the local government yet. So going connecting the dots back to ministry, ministers, I mean, if you track the life of Jesus, that's what he did. He hung out with non-Christians. He hung out with poor people. He hung out with drunkards. They because they actually thought he was one of them.
Mm,
He was easily mistaken for him.
mm,
The carpenter's son.
mm,
Carpenter was one of the most laboring works jobs to do. That would be equivalent to being a janitor right now.
mm,
So it's you they being called into a certain servitude, and it's different levels in the ministry and the body of Christ. But your calling might say, "Oh, I want to be a pastor." Okay, you do know you got to go through all these first,
mm.
or maybe they're not really for you. Maybe they might be calling you to go come to Bible study, or being just a minister, and that's fine. It's okay.
Yeah.
And I think people confuse that with certain mechanics of being a minister. That's why you have. I think some of the crazy things. It's not crazy, but people are like, I'm an apostle, I'm a this and that, or I got to know how to write skills and everything. Right. That's all packaged in there. But you're doing ministry work at the end of the day. However you slice it, are you called to be a minister? And I think, can people be a minister without being called? Absolutely. They do it all the time. But the effectiveness of it, maybe they get the call later because they hard labor and working. They prayed to God that they want to do that,
Mm,
and that's fine in a sense. But here's the thing: the fruit that's bared is always going to show all the way back to the root of where it came from, and that would tell the tall story, in my opinion, of who was meant to do it, who just kind of got into it, and
mm.
when actually called, and the ones who shouldn't be doing it at all.
Yeah. So
It,
you're more or less saying it's kind of like you know who is called by their actions, by their fruits, by what they produce.
right, yeah, yeah, and most of the time, if you truly call, the people you around, your friends and family and everything, they're not going to be surprised because they saw it the whole time. You just didn't see
Okay.
it.
Yeah. Yeah.
They and I honestly believe that because God put people like that around you so you can understand what it is. And
Mm,
so I think that's what it is. It's just a thing. It's gonna show period in everything you do, and it's gonna be there. It's gonna kind of been there the whole time type deal. Being and then moving up to pastoralship and everything. That's gonna be people will see that too. If you announce to anybody that, hey, I'm gonna be I'm being a minister for a while. I want to be a pastor. They're gonna be like, man, that's awesome. But then here's the thing: just because you're a pastor doesn't mean you're meant to be a pastor of a whole church.
yeah.
Sometimes sometimes people who pastor they ain't got no patience. You have to have. That's just like me being a upper level manager, but I don't have my patience with people.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm talking about I want to be the CEO. It's people, but my people who work for me like, nah, you probably stay right where you at. You're good. So there's that.
Yeah. Well, amazing. Like biblical supports that kind of give an idea of pastors having different specialization.
Is there a biblical?
Is
Say it
there
again.
biblical support for the idea that pastors can have different specialization?
Yeah, I mean it's so. I think biblical support would come. So biblical support would actually come from other pastors. So you got pastors in most structures. And then you got people who oversee pastors, senior pastors. So say I've been called to be a pastor, and for me to pull out my special skill set or whatever that they see in me, somebody takes me underneath their wings. A lot of pastors
Mm,
have bishops.
mm,
Bishops, bishops teach and train pastors. They might tell you, "Hey, you need to spend more time with God." Let me just put it away. Believe it or not, there is a ministerial pipeline, training education pipeline,
mm,
and so I think everyone who's equipped to be and called to be a pastor has a special skill set inside them on how they do pastoring, how they connect with people, that special skill set and approach to pull them out. It's a gift. Like we all have gifts. And
yeah.
to wring that out of people and to put it into good labor for the harvest, I think that gets weeded out your under your development.
Mhm.
But it will take, because I believe the first thing you do when you get called in, like anything else, minister or being a pastor, they put you underneath somebody. It's like you want to teach. The first thing you're going to do with any institution is, once you get educated, you're going to become a teacher assistant, working under another teacher. You're going to want to be an actress. You're going to be an under, which is an assistant to another actress.
Mhm.
So you can learn and develop and watch in real time practical applications and how to be what you want to be in your own way, if that
Yeah,
makes sense.
yeah, yeah, it does. So, there's no biblical support that's for specialization.
Right. I think the only biblical support is just being supported by somebody who's been in the word for a long time and who's who's kind of your mentor.
Yeah, yeah, that means Bible verses.
Oh, Bible verse. Oh, I'm sorry. Bible
Yeah,
verses.
yeah.
I apologize. No, I can't think of any.
Oh,
I can't think of anything. I think the only Bible verse I can think of off the top of my head, and please, I don't know scripture like that. It's probably the one that just says something about the gifts that you have, and then I'm skipping around. Then it
is
serve the
the
gift
one
that's
I just
inside of
read
you.
now. Ephesians 4:11. The one I just read.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And
okay.
so we know we always born with gifts inside of us.
Yeah,
And I think that's the only support that we have, because ministry, being a minister, being a pastor, is a gift.
yeah,
And I think the same approach will be the same way as any other gift. You
yeah,
want to get the mentorship, you want to get to development, you want to know how to tap into it and push it out.
yeah. True that. So, um, when it comes to shepherding by uh, creating missions or media ministry, like you said, because you mentioned it, yeah, right? So, how do pastors kind of like identify their unique calling?
Um,
What makes us in do they like you said? I know you mentioned that you don't just wake up and then say, "Oh, I want to be a pastor." But at the same time, people wake up and say, I want to be a manager of an organization," and then start like processing the the managerial position, how to get the managerial position. I'm just saying, but like when it comes to the aspect that they need to focus on, whether missionary, be sorry, creating missions or shepherding or counseling, but how do they know?
I think it's just experience. I think it's just trial and error. It's just like
Yeah,
we do with anything else. I know this is not for me,
yeah,
so I'm going over here. I thought it was for me, and you keep going. And I think the beauty of it all is the fact that you tried and going through the process.
yeah,
That's why if you look at some pastors that were like this 10 years ago and they're like this now, it was literally probably, and they preach about it, but like, yeah, I learned from my experience, and that's what people don't understand. There is a lot of human aspect side to this,
Mm,
because at the end of the day, how we discussed early on, they're not these magical human beings.
mhm.
They're just human beings trying to deliver the word of God
Yeah.
in whatever shape, form, or fashion they can.
Mhm.
And even as technology catches up, a lot of them start to understand the importance of putting it online,
Yeah.
having channels,
Yeah.
having so and so.
Yeah.
Everybody can't make it to church on Sundays. A lot of pastors are learning that they shouldn't make it to church every Sunday. They should actually take vacations like regular people do.
Mm,
They should actually probably let their ministerial staff step in, because they're getting the experience as well to cover down on the church, and it make bring stress down on you all the time,
yeah.
and shaping your flock to understand that the word is more important than me physically being there.
Yeah. True.
So
Yeah. So, in terms of like the seminary schools, right? Do um when they teach the pastors, right? Are they is there like any specialty, or do they encourage specialization, or would you recommend that the seminary schools should recommend or should have specialized courses for the pastors, if there is?
um I don't know if they do or not, because I'm not a minister.
Yeah.
But if it's a school, I'm sure they have. I think they have specialized courses, but I don't think that makes them specialized pastors. I don't think you got a pastor who specializes in putting hands on people to get demons out type deal. I
Yeah.
think they're just pastors, and they took some courses on more of Christian art, so they know more about Christian art, or they know more about immortality of breaking down words
Yeah.
in the Bible,
Yeah.
and connection of storytelling.
Yeah.
Or somebody is a better public speaker because they took more speaking courses and can and know how to talk to people and connect the word that way. So I don't think it's a specialized past courses that you go to ranger school and you become a ranger school pastor or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. So it's more or less like you've been given the gift. You have a gift, and now what you do with the gift is what matters.
Y- y-
That will
Yeah,
kind
I
of
think
define your specialty. What you do
right,
with
and
it.
yeah, I think it's all based on the type of person you are, because
Yeah.
your gift will make room for you. So, say if I am a pastor, I'm not going to deliver this. You can take the same sermon,
Yeah.
but the delivery is going to be different. I deliver the sermon this way. This pastor delivers it that way,
Hmm.
but it's the same sermon. This is why they do those. They have these explosions or whatever, and they have 3 days of three different ministers teaching in this, but it's under this one theme of like revival or something. But it's good to hear the word. It's kind of like, okay, it's kind of like news. News is the same news, but the people it's different shows and it's different methods on how they delivering you the same news. I already knew it was a plane crash
Yeah.
at 8 o'clock in the morning. But
Yeah.
I want to wait to hear it on CNN and hear Anderson Cooper say it versus, you know, Lester Holtz on NBC, because I like Anderson Cooper
Hmm.
because I like it the way his show is set up. It's
Yeah.
the same news though, and Anderson Cooper comes on about 15 hours later, so the news is technically old.
Yeah.
So I think preaching and understanding the concept is kind of like it's like that. It's all character based and how you shape your delivery, because whatever makes you comfortable is where you're gonna thrive at.
Yeah.
So specializing in different things, if it helps you, absolutely. If it's just a skill set that you have tucked away, and you sprinkle it sometimes in your sermon, then that's just you.
Yeah.
As far as going back to the schoolhouse, I'm pretty sure they probably teach, because it's a school. They teach different specialties,
Yeah.
probably different whatever. And there'll probably be some ministers in there that are not Christians, that are Muslims or whatever,
Mm.
or they Catholics or super Catholics or whatever, and how the delivery methods. I think at the end of the day, it's still cool. I never forget they had this commercial, and I think it was something for, I think it was like an Amazon commercial or something, and
Yeah.
they showed a cardinal goes to see a Muslim, and I think they shake hands or whatever, and the Muslim needed it, and the cardinal went home or whatever, and he ordered him something
Mm.
like a rug to pray on, and then the Muslim ordered him something to help for him praying, but the thing was they were still in the service of a higher calling,
Yeah.
and they used Amazon to deliver the products.
Funny.
So I think it's kind of like that in a sense. They
Yeah.
still are getting the word out.
Yeah. If you see a pastor who kind of fell away from their calling, right, would they face difficulty, right? And if they face it, because what would they learn from it?
I think we all fall, we all come up short, which this is what the word says, and I think pastors who fall out of their callings and everything, I think they learn a lot from that, and I think they should get back up and get back into ministry and start back on. Absolutely. And I think people make it difficult because of what we talked about already. Bad stuff is not supposed to happen to them. I never I never forget that. I grew up, when I grew up, I knew this one minister. We got him into his church, and he was in a bad marriage. I mean, you'll see his wife. He just looks. He'll be in the pulpit. He just looks disturbed.
Mhm.
One day, I I was a kid too, and found out he shot his wife,
Ooh.
and he turned the like a 12 gauge, killed her, turned the weapon on himself and tried to kill himself. Notice I said he tried to kill himself. He didn't die. So he came back to church.
Mhm.
He had stuff in his face,
Mhm.
and my pastor let him sit in the pulpit, which people were like, no, because
Yeah.
he was in between being convicted for murdering his wife
Yeah.
and everything.
Yeah.
And I think the thing what I would say about people again, you counseling probably could have helped them. Or
Yeah.
maybe the best thing probably would have been just a divorce.
Mhm.
But they had kids,
Mhm.
and people, especially the women, they looked at him like he was a monster.
Mhm.
But coming from somebody who was divorced now,
Mhm.
you know, before you die physically.
Mhm. Mhm.
And he was in such distress about his wife pushing him around and everything. He didn't seek help because he's supposed to be such a minister or whatever,
Yeah.
that now he's in jail. I don't know if he's still alive or not, but
Yeah.
he's in jail for everything he did,
Mhm.
falling from his
Yeah.
calling.
Yeah.
But stuff like that, people, they're still human, so it has to be a certain way for them to get back. But people remember more negative things,
Yeah.
sadly, for positive. So for them to get called back into, I think they go through everything we do. They need encouragement. The enemy definitely picks at them, probably more so because they're doing God's work all the time.
Yeah.
Um, and I think I would listen to a minister who have fallen and came back. I think it'll be a lot to learn. I think I've known ministers that went and got on drugs, lost everything,
Mhm.
got clean and came back.
Mhm.
And they have a lot to say, but people would judge them and like, you ain't Save like you thought you were, blah blah blah. I said, actually,
Mm.
that's the wrong. If you look at the word of God and
Mm.
just not even read, just skim through it, that's all Jesus did. Jesus was at the bottom.
Yeah. Yeah.
God, God, I think, and I call it a Saul to Paul moment.
Mm.
Saul was the biggest persecution of the church
Mm.
in the church, and God changed his life on the road to Damascus, and changed his name to Paul,
Mm.
and he became the biggest supporter of the church. So my thing is, and you be like, well, that was just one dude and blah blah. If you looked at everything, but Saul was the biggest. I mean, he murdered thousands. And that's the type of people God's like, you know what? I'm gonna use this guy.
Yeah.
Not necessarily call, but he's definitely a fallen.
Yeah.
But I get what you're saying. So if God can use them people like that, he
Yeah.
can use people who started off and that fell off and came back. It's just the problem is it's us, our human factor of understanding that and processing it.
Yeah.
And most importantly, accepting that. So I think that's the biggest problem.
Mm. Yeah.
So I think and then at the same time we so hard and being judgmental because we have going back to we think they should be a certain way. Get
Mhm.
upstairs. They should be a certain way
Yeah.
already, and they can't make mistakes. I
Mm.
know tons of couple of my friends who are past and everything. They call me and they just want to hear because their wives literally got on their nerves, or their kids got on their nerves, or whatever. Or, one of the pastors be like, man, church folks just judge you all the time because they've been there before you and this and they, because guess what? They deal with people. And
Yeah.
dealing with people, that type of stuff comes.
Oh.
They, so yeah, I absolutely 100% agree that I think they could come back. First of all, I don't think it's no real such thing as falling from your calling. I think it's a process you go through. And when you get too far away from it,
Mm.
that's still part of God's plan.
Mm.
And to bring you back because maybe you need deeper wounds.
Mhm.
Maybe you need, you know, how one pastor always says, it's good they slay me. Sometimes you need those wounds
Mhm.
to get those scars.
Yeah.
So it can be a reminder of what you need to do.
Mm.
Nobody goes through life unscathed. And and some of the biggest and sometimes God saves some of his biggest fights for his strongest soldiers.
Mm.
And and they test become a testimony.
Mm.
And now you back in church, so now you can reach the drug addicts in your church.
Mm.
The women that have been raped,
Mm.
the men that have been in jail
Yeah.
because you've been there.
Yeah.
You understand.
True.
I'll be worried if I didn't run into somebody who didn't experience life, and not that extreme, but in a sense, it's like okay, because the connection.
Yeah.
That's why they have these different ministries, and they have the guy with the jeans. That English ain't good. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
he's still every word out of his mouth is still a curse word. You're like, hold on, but you get what I'm saying. Yeah, I get what you're saying. So you can do this ministry over here and connect with your people and
Mhm.
bring them into the fold of Jesus Christ in the body.
Mhm.
Why you been worked on yourself? You always been worked on.
When it comes to the pastors and leaders and all that, sometimes they will fall or they will make do something, but it's just about like it's about them getting back to the on the right track.
Just get them getting back on track.
Yeah.
And having that support to get back on track. I think is
Yeah.
very, very important. And I
Yeah.
think it's there. And it's not a I think again, the people is are the ones who would judge any of them first, and keep them down.
Yeah.
Once we get past that and get better at that. Let's not be hypocrites,
Yeah.
because the Bible clearly states one big common thing through the whole thing: you will have trials and tribulations in this life.
Hmm.
Your trials and tribulations ain't no bigger and smaller than mine.
Yeah.
I'm just I'm just being honest. It clearly says that common theme throughout the whole Bible.
Yeah.
It's called life.
Yeah. So, when what's if there's like, a pastor that maybe I just did something, and I made a mistake or something. And yeah, they have the opportunity to kind of put things right, but they're refusing to put things right because of their position. What would you
Oh,
say about that? I
they
just want
refuse
to
to
stick,
put it.
well, just want to stick with it because for some, anyway, because when you work out, making it like it's according to God's will, even though maybe it's not God's will. If you know what I'm saying?
So let me see. So we have a pastor
Uh-huh.
who needs to make some things right,
Yeah.
but he or she chooses not to
Yeah.
because
Because
how it would look and
yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
Well, you know what the biggest thing that God gives us as human beings?
Yeah.
Guilt.
Yeah.
It will eat at them. And then what happens when you're not a transparent person
Mm.
at any level and everything, the people will say it.
Yeah.
And then the flock will kind of, I've seen that the flock will kind of go their own way,
Yeah.
because people, that certain spirit in there will go across everybody, and some people will have angst about it. It'll start off with, yeah, pastor's gonna get it right. First of all, them knowing, number one,
Mm.
and then he or she addressing the issue
Mm.
publicly, publicly to everybody. Because here's the thing, I always believe, for me, if it happens in this form, it gets resolved in this form. So don't come and apologize to me
Mm.
in front. Don't come and apologize to me behind closed doors when you wrong me in front of everybody. I want my apology in front of everybody,
Yeah. I
so
get.
everybody can see how humble you are. Eat your humble pie, and that what you owe to me in a
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, and the reason being because it's too my credit of me going back and saying, if you apologize to me behind closed doors, it's
Yeah.
very hard for me to go tell everybody, oh yeah, he or she apologized to me. They came and saw me afterwards, blah blah blah. No, 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 no. I need you
Yeah.
to do it right here in front of everybody.
Yeah.
That's your job. If it's really put on your heart, I have no problem by doing that.
Yeah.
Now, so it's like that. Now, that's people. Marriage is different. But my point is, being a public figure, which you are,
Yeah.
people start talking about the issues and rumors and all that stuff. You need to address it.
Yeah.
And you need to understand they need a clear transparency about what's going on. You owe that to them.
Yeah.
Because what happened is, just like anybody else in your position, or even if I relate to corporate America or whatever, blah blah,
Yeah.
is your credibility goes like this. When credibility goes, confidence goes. It's all that's wrapped in credibility, and people gonna be like, put that finger up in church and be like, I'm gonna go somewhere else,
Yeah.
because church and everything, leadership and tutelage and everything is supposed to be one of the places of confidence. Not saying you're perfect or whatever, but you should be. I mean, even us as human beings, eventually get to a phase in our life where we admit that, hey, I'm wrong. I'm sorry. You can't even do that. We got issues.
Yeah. Okay. So Lastly, let me know, because I can ask so many questions. So
It's
many.
okay.
But lastly, like what advice would you give to like aspiring pastors out there, pastors, practicing pastors and big pastors?
What advice I would give them?
Yeah.
Stay in the will of God. Listen to your people. Surround yourself with good people, and stay prayed up. That's it. And stay connected
Yeah.
to your people, to the pulse of your people. And I say pulse of your people because 90% of our communication is still nonverbal. So the pulse of your people is the spirit understanding what they need and require.
Hmm.
And then, hold yourself accountable. Hold yourself accountable. Always. That's leadership 101. I wouldn't ask you or challenge you to do something I'm not prepared to do or I haven't done.
Hmm.
I'm not going to tell you to jump out of a plane if I haven't jumped out of a plane,
Hmm.
especially when it's something big.
Hmm.
I should be. Those are the things I would encourage any pastor. And the thing is, I don't think it's a difference in how you carry it out as far as a small pastor, big pastor, or mega big pastor of a church. I think they all pastors just like entrepreneurs of small businesses, big business. They had to start somewhere, or they want to stay somewhere, or they still growing. So I think having the same pastoral mentality is important because either way, whether you have your congregation of 12 people of 1,200,000 people, it's still the same mentality. Now, the mechanics might be different. You might be surrounded with more people. You might have, or be surrounded with less people, and you have to do more, but the mentality still should be there.
Hmm.
And I think all of that is important. And it's important because to keep that same mentality, because the big pastor might need help from that small pastor one day, or vice versa.
Yeah.
And everybody just being humble and staying on the same sheet of music
Yeah.
is important.
Yeah. Sure. Sure. Oh, bless. Thank you so much for your time. Really, really appreciate it. But like, would you like to say one last thing? One last thing?
Mhm.
Just
No, no, I'm good. I mean, y'all can like check out my site, get some books, get some artwork, and if you have any questions or concern about anything, I tell people all the time, even with my artwork costs and everything, don't be concerned about it. Just reach out to me. We can talk about it. We can go from there. If you see anything, I customize a lot of my artwork. So if you see a size that you don't, if you don't see a size you're looking for, a color in the print or whatever, just let me know. We can go from there. I'd rather you reach out to me and we go back and forth ping pong style for a little bit, and I get you to a happy medium. Then saying no. We
yeah.
do discounts. Um, I do a first 20% discount when you join up for the email list. My vendors on top of that give discount. I think my vendors give so many discounts. I go on my site like, oh, it's 30% discount for Valentine's Day. Oh, okay. The
Yeah.
people who manage my site, I'm like, I guess. So you can get, I think you can get both of those together, but we here to help. That's all. Um, Again, go on, shop on, let me know, share thoughts, shoot me some emails if you want to, sign up for the email list, and if you have direct contact with me. But I appreciate the time. I'm blessed that you had me on. It's always awesome to hang out.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Please shop, shop, shop. Please patronize them. Thank you very much. Thank you so much for watching, right? And I hope that you've been blessed, right, with this little time here with Bibi and Marvin today. We're talking about the pastors. And the pastors have blessed us so in so many ways. right? And I know probably some pastors are maybe pastors have upset us in other ways as well. But one thing is that God is the ultimate focus, and we just need to ensure that yes, we support them as best as we can and pray for them as best as we can. And for the ministry, for them to be able to work in line with your calling, right? So thank you so much. Thanks for watching the Middle Class Talk Show. God bless you.